All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I am Jenna Cottrell. We are coming to you from Training Camp 2023.
Football is back.
Football is back. Please be sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel if you enjoy our content. Gentlemen, there's a lot to talk about today, but we're going to start with Stefon Diggs.
Yep.
We finally got to hear from Stefon Diggs after there was all this weird energy in the offseason. Sean McDermott saying he was very concerned. Diggs back at minicamp.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, we heard from Diggs for a long time. He talked with the media. What was your takeaway?
It was worth the wait. I thought he was spectacular. I thought he was great.
Incredibly candid.
Candid. He was Diggs as Diggs. Made some little jokes. Picked on some reporters. Talked about his trips to Europe. By the way, real quick, you bring your trainer to Europe with it? That's a great gig for the trainer.
When I heard that, I was like, yeah, that's
a good
pretty
gig.
Sweet.
But I would say this. I love the way he spoke. I think it's a clearing of the air enough. It's an NFL team. It's a bunch of adults. Everybody doesn't have to sing Kumbaya all the time.
Yeah.
But I loved the way Diggs was today.
I thought it was also, he explained himself in a way that we could all understand. Sometimes I feel like coaches, players, they're afraid to be like, well, I can't even explain it to you because you wouldn't understand. That wasn't Steph. Steph said, it's family matters. You're in a household.
Yeah.
You get angry at your brother. You say some things, your dad, but you're still a family. And you air it out. And that was the common theme. And the only thing that I went back and I thought, man, Steph, this would have been great 2 months ago. This would have been great 2 months ago because he was so good. It made so much sense.
Yeah.
Everything, his frustration, he had great analogies to pushing a rock and not being able to get the rock over the hill, and that's what he was frustrated about. Not his amount of targets.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, for me to just want more say in the offense is crazy because I play receiver. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what play is called. You know what I'm saying? I can't get up here and say, call this. Like, it's a lot of outlandish, obvious things where people were throwing out there or people were saying, like, as far as like my role, like I've been a captain on this team for 3 years. There's no question about my role and who I am as a player, how hard I work. Like those things never had question marks, and you can't say the same thing for a lot of people in the league. Like as a player, who I am and what I am has always been represented, and what I do on a consistent basis, how hard I work. You can see it, and my teammates speak highly about me in that regard, especially considering I've been a captain damn near since I got here. So as far as like me wanting to say so on the play call, like that is insane to me. Just cause like I couldn't call a play to save my life. Like I couldn't call a game to save my life. Like be for real. I'm saying it's regarding last year. Obviously the way we lost was just terrible in any regard. You know, you don't want to lose any game, but we've lost for a couple years at this point, and we've been trying to get over the hump, and obviously it calls for a lot of frustration. But all in all, like as far as with that, I was here. He did have a conversation. Me and him did have a conversation. It's all water under the bridge now. But I attribute it to family matters. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't like dancing around things. I don't like those kind of questions. Black and white is everybody has family matters. We had a conversation. Everything is all is well. Water under the bridge. Now we back at work. And, the mindset of it is we always want to win, and kind of like I kind of flip it like. So when you see my frustration, it kind of makes sense. Like we've been kind of pushing at a rock for some years now, and kind of like not getting that rock over the hill will frustrate you. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like we want to come in from more of a human standpoint. If you ever had a job and you've been pushing at it for a long time, and it's just not turning the corner, you start to draw a lot of questions like, how can we do things better? And that's when I say, like, I don't have any pressure. I mean, I feel like the pressure comes from everybody else. Like that's a lot of outside noise, but the grind is the grind, and we've been putting the time in consistently, you know, throughout my years since I've been here. So wanting to see things turn a corner, that's where that question draws, and that's where you see me having conversation. That's when I have a conversation X, Y, Z. Like, so I feel like that open door policy kind of like helps us, you know what I'm saying? And that's just how family works.
Really upset.
He offered so much clarification, and he really did tackle everything that we have heard about in terms of, is he being a diva, in terms of, is this how a repeat of what happened in Minnesota?
I feel like it's a scapegoat. And when by that I mean that's an easy way to think about it. It's easily to say like, oh, it might be the same thing. Well, what is the same thing? What happened in Minnesota? That is the same thing. Outside looking in, you know what I'm saying? That's the picture you got. As far as like what happened there, like nobody really had no story. I never spoke on that either. You know what I'm saying? Like it's easy to use that in this day and age of football or this time zone. This is not the 80s and the 70s. We live in a very, very different time zone of, you know, not only people speaking up or having opinions or having wherewithal of what they want from their lives. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I'm human. You know what I'm saying? People having opinions of history repeating itself. Like, okay, you can easily say that. Okay, give me something. Give me a real answer. You know what I'm saying? Give me a real answer. Because up to this point, nobody has ever questioned a couple of things: my work ethic, my love for the game, what I am as a teammate, what I do on the field, how I impact the team. So it's like, what is repeating itself when you say that? You know what I'm saying? Because up to this point, nobody has ever questioned that. I've been the captain for 3 years. Tell me what's the repeating itself part.
Soda, you know, was he frustrated with targets? Was it the offense? Does he not have any confidence in Ken Dorsey? He answered all of those things, and he was super candid about it. And here's what I really appreciated. You talk about being relatable. Like, yeah, he's able to fly out his trainer to France, which, sorry guys, I'm not doing that. But at the same point, him talking about, look, I've always been a really hard worker. I have more football behind me than I do ahead of me. And I want this team. I want to be a part of this team that helps get this organization over the hump. So when he put it like that, I'm like, yeah, I get it. And I wish he did speak sooner. I don't know if the worth the wait, I hear what you're saying, but I think he did a lot to instill confidence in where this team is at. And I think the way he handled it was really refreshing because I didn't know if it would be company line.
That's a great point. I would say this. The reason I say it's worth the wait is, you know, keep in mind, he got told not to practice on a day when he was there.
Yeah.
Maybe he needed to be in this headspace. He used that phrase a couple of times.
Yeah.
To be ready to talk and to be open about it. And look, you mentioned the things. He said any thought that he's the guy like controlling the play calls, he's like, was insane.
Yeah.
He said, I'm 100+ targets every year I've been here. I'm not, he goes, I could never call a play in my life. Now, there's a difference between calling a play and saying, whatever you call it should be to me. Because he could say that. I asked him, are you and Josh good?
Yeah.
And he said, he's my guy. I think he said, I love him.
Yeah.
And he just said, we're good. And he
There was,
loves Dorsey.
He said it was never anything. He goes, we were never not good.
Right.
Was the exact wording with your question. Yeah, I thought it was attacked everything. He put out every fire, every lingering thing where we, and I honestly thought that the practice today, we can get to that in a little bit, it felt normal.
It did.
Like, whereas minicamp did not by any circumstances, this felt normal.
Yeah. I appreciated what he had to say and the way in which he said it. And I just feel like for Bills fans, I feel like we can close the book. Like, we've talked about it so much and we've had to talk about it because we hadn't heard from Diggs. I feel like it's able to be like, this team seems to be in the right direction. It feels like all parties are, you know, moving in lockstep, I guess. And I think Diggs did a lot to just kind of clarify where he was coming from.
I'm going to keep the book open this much, and I want to compliment Sean McDermott.
Oh, okay.
Because Diggs said it's basically an open door policy, and he referenced Sean several times. And I know there's things Sean does wrong. You're going to hate some of the things he does as DC. You don't like the play calls. You don't like the, you know, timeout usage, whatever it happens to be. I got to tell you, for somebody who's been here for a bunch of not great head coaches.
Well said.
The idea that Diggs is saying one of the biggest things about being a Buffalo Bill, and by the way, he also said, I want to retire as a Buffalo Bill, clarified all that, is that he talked about Sean McDermott and the team's open door policy.
Yeah.
And you may not think that's a big deal. I go back to that moment on the sidelines with Diggs and McDermott. He's got his arm around him. I think McDermott doesn't get enough credit for that. Doesn't make him a perfect head coach. Doesn't mean he doesn't make mistakes. But, man, when you are building a culture, it can't all be, talk about yourself, have fun, you know, be at camp, have, you know, turkey burgers. No, it's got to be when times are bad. And I think that is when it really counted, and it did.
And I think going off of that, we talked to Josh today, and he talked about what he learned through the Stefon Diggs and this experience. And he said, Dan, like, I've become a better leader.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that is a positive that you can take away.
Yeah, and Diggs also said, too, I think it goes off of what Josh had to say, was that he goes, I'm a human. I'm a human being.
Yeah.
Like, and he goes, people think that, he goes, I'm in Paris, or, you know, I'm overseas, that nobody thinks I'm working. He's like, I flew my trainer out. He's like, I don't show that all the time. He's like, I still do the grinding. He's like, but football, he goes, I've been doing it since I'm 5 years old. He goes, eventually there's other things. He goes, trust me. He goes, I haven't lost sight of the focus. And he said his main thing was he just wants to win. That's the only thing he's focused on in winning. And he hasn't been able to do that. I understand that frustration. And now you kind of peel back the onion. You're trying to decipher what he said in a different light.
Yeah.
Some of the things he said. And like I said, that was where his frustration stemmed from.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't the offense or things like that. It was the lack of winning.
I think that too. And I do think that, Josh talked about how he learned kind of how to handle the situations. And he talked about the fact of, I feel like I am now a better leader. And he also said he feels like he's going into year six, which is crazy to think about. But at the same point,
what year are you, Mike?
Going into year
35.
No, it's got to be more than that.
For the Bills?
Yeah.
You want it to be more than that?
I thought you already got a 35 plaque.
At the yes, but it's the 35th full season that I've had.
Okay.
35th training camp. I started at the end of the strike year in '87.
Wow.
And so I really started
That's
covering
crazy.
the team in '88.
Okay.
How about that?
We'll allow that.
But
How old are you, Jenna? How old are you?
That's older
We're
than
less
us.
than 35. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
See what I put up with.
For free.
See what I put up with.
This is why people come to the channel.
But look, for Josh, I think I have said to you guys multiple times, this man has handled every stage that he's been with the team, very few hiccups at all. He's handled being the third string guy walking in. He's handled getting elevated to starter. He's handled being the unquestioned starter, franchise guy, playoff guy, all those things, getting paid guy, all those things. I think this stretch was a little rough. I think sometimes it's like a lot is expected of you. When a lot is given, a lot is expected. And I don't think he handled it, at least it seems like, in totally the way he wanted. Maybe this ends up in the big picture being a good thing. Not a good thing that there was issues. Yeah. And they all got to learn a little bit, but communication is a big part of it for anybody, certainly on a football team with high emotions.
Yeah, and I think Sean McDermott, like you talked about, him having that open door policy for his team, I think that is huge.
I thought it was interesting in the beginning. Diggs said that Sean came up to him and said, I misspoke at the press conference. When he started, and he goes, I misspoke. And like, you talk about that open door policy of it, Sean probably had to answer some questions in that locker room to his teammates, going, hey, guys, what I said came out wrong.
Yeah.
I wasn't concerned because, like you said, this is where it all started from. Like, and everybody says the media is making something out of nothing. Like, there was something, okay? Yeah. And we may not know what it is, and it's, as they said, it's family matters. Like, that's how this was handled. But I thought that it's the two-way street that goes both ways, where maybe Stefon said, I got to handle this better. But also Sean saying, like you said, complimenting Sean for the person he is and the open door policy, owning up and saying, my bad.
Yeah.
I kind of poured some gas on this fire.
All right, Jenna made the great point, and then we can move on, as Diggs was relatable. And he talked about those real world things. You don't have to tell other people what the internal thing was amongst your family or your friends. But people can sense that there's an issue, and if it gets talked out, it does not need to be 100% perfect. It never is, and this is heightened emotions during a football season. They all have a lot at stake, and they got to come through. It's a little easier now in the sunshine at Fisher than it is in the cold of a January game when you're trying to advance to the AFC Championship game. I see the reason for that frustration. I think that open door policy and that communication will help them when the circumstances come up again, because in some form they will.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's talk about it though. Day one of training camp in the books, on a beautiful day out here. And we talked Sean McDermott, the open door policy. He loves these guys coming to camp. And I asked him because I was like, there's a lot of the same faces. Like, what do you try to get out of that first day of camp? And he said he loves the team being away. He loves the team being here in Rochester, Pittsford. He loves the fact that everyone can play cards. There's not the responsibilities that there are at home. And then he also talked about the fact that, this team, it's just, I forgot, what else did he say? I literally forgot.
Well, I thought it was interesting they have chairs lined up outside the dorm rooms.
But there was another thing. He said two things. My brain.
And you only got one of them.
Yeah.
Teamwork, and then
camaraderie.
Camaraderie, and then, sorry, you're going to be here for this. Sorry. Yeah. There was another thing.
Yeah, we're leaving it in.
What was the other thing?
Comment in with what you think the other thing was.
No, it's not in my notes. Because you said
it would have been in my notes.
Jenna took notes.
All right, well, you keep talking.
This is our family issue right now. It's usually Jenna.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think Sean does love it. He also loves Pittsford Dairy, which he mentioned, to get his ice cream. Did he say chocolate milkshake?
It's a chocolate milkshake.
But didn't he start out
think
with
it's- I think
vanilla?
He started out with
vanilla
vanilla,
ice
and I
cream.
laughed. He started out
he's-
by saying vanilla ice cream, and I chuckled.
Yeah.
And then he's like, it's a chocolate malt milkshake. He likes malt.
Yeah. Wow. Sean, how about that? You can't come up with it, can you?
It says being away and relationships. I think that's just the same.
Great notes.
No, I think that's interesting for him. Josh does really love it.
Yeah.
And I tell people this all the time. It doesn't mean Josh could decide whether they come
Correct.
to Fisher
But
or not.
he's a
Yeah.
massive factor.
Well, let me tell you something. If Josh was saying, this
Right.
doesn't work for me,
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
miserable, I don't like it, he is a big kid.
Yeah.
He loves it. He loves being in the dorms.
Yeah.
He loves, even Vaughn loves being in the dorms now.
Now that he's got the toilet paper and his wipes
Oh my God,
and
he went
everything.
through, he went to go into a lot of detail about what he likes in the dorms.
Vaughn has never heard a question he couldn't answer.
The human
Yes.
filibuster.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
But that idea is it's not phony. It does not mean they're here next year or the year after that or the year after that. There are circumstances that are even beyond what the coaches like and all. But Bean loves it for a different reason, so he can go play Oak Hill, and that's why he loves being here. Shot 77 too, by the way.
Wow.
But
bad front.
But you're right, Jenna. He does like it, and he likes that bonding. They have a lot of months together where they're just coming in the facility in Orchard Park.
Yeah.
This is 3 weeks at Fisher, and I think they really appreciate it.
I think he made the good point too of like you get closer over the NFL season, but at the same point it is your job. Like you're going home, you have responsibilities there. Like it can be a grind, and the fact that here your responsibility is football. You're able to be a teammate, and you're able to kind of hang out with players that maybe you wouldn't always hang out with. And I think that does go a long way in terms of, I know it's cheesy to say that the team building and the camaraderie, but I think that does. Yeah. I mean, that's the human nature of this. It's you are a better teammate when you care.
I agree. Biggest takeaways from today? I know people are like, oh, like it's very early on. Like this was not necessarily getting into X's and O's so far of training camp, but was there one or two things that stood out for you just from day one?
I would say that I'm not sure which one which one of you guys said it, who the starting middle linebacker is going to be, but my impression is it's the veteran.
Done here. Oh, wait. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hedged my bet. I hedged it well.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute.
That's insane. That's an insane
We
comment.
are only feet away from where you said
Right
Terrell
there.
Bernard is going to be the starter. It doesn't mean this isn't a competition, but
I think it's Dodson's. Dodson's getting
That's
first
what I
pick.
said.
I know. I'm giving you the credit.
Oh, I thought you were trying to take credit.
No. Mike poo-pooed it, and on one of the podcasts, you can go back and listen.
You're right.
I said 60, 25, 15 or something. That doesn't
Look,
add up to
Jenna
100.
said
but
it. You pushed it to that way, saying is this. I thought, and I still believe there's the possibility if one of these younger guys really excels. But
Bean said there's no leader in the clubhouse.
But Vaughn was also like, what did he say? It's T-Dot.
TB.
It's T-Dot.
TB.
Yeah.
T-Dot. What are we talking
Oh,
about?
see, I thought he said TB.
No, I thought it was T-Dot.
T-Dot.
Oh, I must have misheard.
Yeah, so
Wow.
now again, it's the first day, and if you're setting this up, you're going to have the veteran out there first.
Yeah.
You're not anointing some kid that's going to be the starter. He's going to have to earn his spot. But that was my takeaway. I'm like, okay, let's see if Tyrell Dodson does their job.
Your hot take was that Terrell Bernard.
It
when
was.
we were leaving.
That
Okay,
was.
all right. I just wanted to clarify for the
That
people.
take-
That
the
The
people.
temperature came down at that one, and then he raised the
They
temperature
just like
more on,
lit it on fire.
on
Okay.
Dodson.
You got any?
Yeah, what do you got?
All right, two things. Deontay Hardy is teeny.
He is.
He's-
Teeny.
Yep.
Yes.
Teeny.
You tower over him.
Yes, and Latavius Murray is not teeny.
He's a giant.
He's a massive.
He's
he
huge.
He reminds me. He's so big amongst his position group that it looks like he's in the wrong position.
That's literally. I was like, oh,
100%.
he's this offensive line,
It
and then I was
reminded
like,
me
oh.
of O.J. Howard.
Yeah.
When we
Okay,
talked about
yeah, I
him
can
last
see
year,
that.
we were like, he's a mountain of a human being.
Yeah.
And then I was like, he's right over there and he can't make plays. Don't talk too loudly. As he was walking passes at training camp. My two other things I noticed, this Kincaid guy might be able to play a little bit.
Yeah.
Way too early observation, but they were
Good
force
hands.
feeding him early on. And Mike has a hot take.
On that, I want a moratorium on Kincaid questions among the media. Stop asking about Kincaid till a little while longer. The guy's been out there for one practice. He's
So
been
Sean
one practice.
McDermott.
Now that
He's
being
been
said,
anointed.
when you watch him, this is playing catch.
Correct.
Yeah.
But he does have a fluidity to the way he
Yep.
runs
Yes.
that is encouraging
Yes.
because that's what they expect him to be. You watch
Yeah.
him, you do sometimes, you know, we are fortunate we get here. Fans can watch, but we're at a lot of the practice and all. Some of the things, like size of players, you can read it on a sheet, but when you see it in person is different. And I do like the way Kincaid runs. I really do. I think he's going to find a big role with this team.
Yeah. He looked smooth. Also, the other thing I noticed, again, day one of practice, but this is a continuation from the spring, Kyrie Elam. Still running with the second team.
Yeah.
Christian Benford had a nice play today.
Yeah. He had an interception in the red zone covering Stefon Diggs out of Josh Allen pass, the first interception of camp. What was that look for?
I didn't know if we could report that.
I tweeted it.
Yeah. We're fine.
Okay.
It's not strategy.
Yeah. Okay.
no.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
because fans were here. Okay, sorry.
yeah,
okay.
Fans were here.
Okay, sorry. No,
Okay.
I
Yeah, I tweeted it.
Well, you work for the team now?
I got nervous.
But a bunch of people I know, I tweeted that Kyer was with the second team and everybody's all up in arms. Right now,
It's just it's day one.
It's day
kind
one
of the way
also,
they came in.
let's not forget, like Dane Jackson started a lot of games last year too.
15 games, if I saw it correctly.
Yeah.
From
And
last
the
year.
one was because it was after the game that he had stretchered off.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That was the Titans.
Yeah,
think about
yeah.
that.
That one,
wow.
that one gets forgotten in the insanity
Of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone posted the
fair.
other day, not to go on a tangent here, of DeMar's
this is a tangent. in
DeMar's response when Dane got hurt in the
Yeah.
locker room that day.
Yeah.
And it was really something. He said things are bigger than football. And then
Wow.
we saw the circumstances he was in.
Yeah.
DeMar Hamlin coming out of that tunnel,
Chills.
that was
Great.
really, really cool.
Yeah.
And he signed for about an hour
Yeah.
around here again. Mike, we were in Cincinnati
Yeah.
to sit there and say he'll be back at any form.
Yeah.
Oh.
In
To
that,
where he
in
is
that-
now is
in
great.
January is
Yeah.
just surreal. So that was one of the moments that, again, loud cheers for a lot of guys. That one was pretty cool.
And by the way, I want to say this publicly. You guys owe me a fine. We keep fines when we make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
I said to Von Miller, what do you think about what does Malcolm Floyd bring to the team?
Yeah.
He looked at me like, you idiot, which he was right, because obviously it's Leonard
Mike
Floyd.
doubled down, though. He was like, what?
Did I say what?
I don't know, but you kind of gave him the look like.
No, I gave him, because I was, and then I realized Malcolm Floyd was a wide receiver for the Chargers. Retired about 8-9 years ago. Great player, played his whole career with San Diego. It sticks in my head,
Leonard.
and dummy that I am, I said it to Von. And Von, who doesn't like to speak, proceeded to then give an answer that went on for about 11 minutes.
Yeah.
So, on that.
You
But
are fined. How much
yes.
do you want to be fined? $750?
That's a good number, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a number I like.
Seems pretty high, though.
It's high.
It's high.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. That's really
great.
good. That's really
We
good.
do have
Anything else?
fines. I don't know, Jim.
We're out here every day.
Yeah.
Camp is enjoyable. We see a lot of different things. There was
Yeah.
so much going on today, but we stuck a lot on the Diggs thing because it's almost to me, a sense of
Yes.
relief.
Yes.
And he spoke.
And he spoke, and he spoke well. And we are going to, by the time you see this, post the entire interview if you want to hear him, because
I think you
he
should.
was he was
listen.
both honest and entertaining in
Yeah.
both cases.
Yeah, it was great. All right, well, yes, you heard the man. We'll be here all training camp long, all Bills season. So please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy our stuff.
Instagram,
We'll
Twitter.
Yeah.
TikTok.
Twitter,
Jen is a
TikTok.
posting machine.
We're stepping up our game. 2 a day.
That's it.
Trying.
Team only goes once. We're twice a day. That's it.
I'm going to fight everyone here. All right, bye, Dan. For Mike. All right, yeah. We'll see you tomorrow. The worst.